Welcome into the Sporting News Studios for Hot Reads, your weekly look at the NFL with Hall of Fame quarterback and three-time Super Bowl champion Troy Aikman. My name is Tom Vandervoort. Troy, two teams advanced to the Super Bowl this past weekend. Both those teams were behind at halftime. Both those teams ended up shutting out their opponents in the second half, and it made me think about the whole notion of halftime adjustments. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what coaches can do and try to do at halftime of these games, especially these big games like this that allow their teams to thrive in the second half.
Well, there's not a whole lot of time, quite honestly, Tom, to make a lot of changes. You know, what usually happens is the coaches immediately come in, they get off to themselves, they talk about what happened in the first half, you know, what adjustments maybe are necessary. They then present those to the team. But typically what it is, for instance, offensively, if they're doing things defensively that are taking away a certain run, then that usually means they're vulnerable in other areas, and the coaches will simply say, hey, you know, this play isn't working, we're going to start working the outside toss sweeps or whatever it may be. And, you know, we think that maybe they'll be vulnerable with some of the things that they've done defensively there in the first half. The same thing works there, you know, defensively as well when you're looking at an opposing offense. But I think a lot of times the discussion as far as making all these major adjustments at halftime is a little bit overrated. I think in last week's games and the championship games, those offenses moved the ball. You know, I mean, Atlanta moved the ball. They had some turnovers. Certainly New England had some turnovers. So it wasn't as if they completely shut them down, although, as you mentioned, they failed to come away with any points. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Absolutely.
And, you know, we look at two quarterbacks now advancing to the Super Bowl for the first time in their career, Joe Flacco for Baltimore, Colin Kaepernick for the San Francisco 49ers. And just looking at the playoff run of each of these teams, what's impressed you most about each of these starting quarterbacks?
Well, I think for Colin Kaepernick, it's really been his composure, really for both these guys. But since it's Colin's second year and it's his first year to be the starter, his first time to get into the postseason, you know, he had the interception in the divisional game against Green Bay, gets returned for a touchdown. And since that time, he's really been very patient. He's been smart with the football. I think that's a real key when you're talking about playoff football. You know, Jimmy Johnson used to always preach to us, it's not how many big plays you make, it's how few bad plays you make. And I think that's especially true in postseason. I think more teams beat themselves than those that go on and win. And so the key for both of these quarterbacks is to continue to do what they've done. You know, of course, Joe Flacco has been in the postseason before. He's been a winner in the postseason. A number of those wins coming on the road, not easy to do. He's won more on the road than any quarterback in the history of the game. I think that speaks volumes for him and really for this Ravens team. And they'd been so close at other times to finally, you know, get over that barrier on the road against a New England team that we know has been a dynasty for quite some time. Was a huge win for him.
Yeah, certainly it was. And now we move forward to the Super Bowl. And I know you've been there 3 times. You won it 3 times. And I wonder if you have any insights for guys that are going to their first Super Bowl as far as handling the next week and a half or so before the game and what they should really expect and what's the best way to handle it.
Well, I think this is a very important week right now. And there was a time, and I've done it, having played in 3 Super Bowls, one of those, there was no bye week. And so you go right from the conference championship game right into the Super Bowl. And that is very difficult to do because, as you can guess, there's a number of family members and friends that want to come out to the game. You're trying to arrange not only tickets, but flights, hotels, you know, all that goes with that. And even if you're not dealing with, you know, moms and dads and brothers and sisters, a lot of these guys have families of their own with wives and children. And so you're trying to accommodate them. This is the time to do that during this down week. You also get a chance to practice and get a head start, you know, on the opponent. I think the important thing is once they get to New Orleans, hopefully the family things are behind them. They've gotten all that taken care of this week, and they can just focus on getting prepared to play the best possible game that they can and try to make that environment as much like their normal work week at home during the regular season as possible.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, listen, I know you're fighting a cold, so I'm going to let you go. We'll get your pick next week, see who you like in the Super Bowl. So thanks, Troy. Appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thanks, Tom.